Hi, besties. Welcome back to the Celestial Vibes podcast. I'm Kristy Lynn, your cosmic bestie and guide through whatever weird, magical, spiritual, or just plain wild shit the universe decides we're diving into today. So, it has been a few months since my last episode, and I just want to start off by saying thank you for being here. And I am so excited to be back. But before we even get started, I want to set the vibe, okay? So take a deep breath and just let yourself settle into this moment. This space is safe, unconditional, and held for you, for me, and for all the aligned energies that are here to support and bring their wisdom. Only the highest, most soul-honoring energies are welcome here. Whether it's your first time tuning in or if you've been vibing with me from the start, I invite you to open yourself to what wants to flow through this episode today. Now, in episode 3, we talked about extraterrestrials, spirit guides, angels, all of that, right? And if you haven't listened to that one yet, go back, like right now, and listen. I'll wait. No, actually I won't. Keep listening here, but go back after if you have a chance, because it sets up what we're about to get into in a really important way. Because here's the thing. The moment that you start opening up, like really opening up to guides, to higher dimensions, to channeling, to whatever your flow looks like in this journey, you are also opening a door. And most people don't talk about what else can walk through that door. And I think that's a problem. Like a real one. Because I wish that somebody had sat me down and been like, hey girl, let me tell you about the distortion before you go cracking yourself wide open with no context here. So consider this me doing that for you. Now, what we're going to talk about today is distortion, okay? False light, beings and energies that are not who or what they say they are. The moments on this path where you genuinely can't tell up from down and you start questioning everything, including yourself. And most importantly, how you build the kind of discernment that cuts through all of that. And really quickly, before we dive all the way in, I want to highlight that this is not a fear episode, okay? Like, I need that to be really clear. I'm not here to scare you or make you paranoid about every single thing that you receive. That's not the vibe. And honestly, that's not helpful to anybody. What this is an awareness episode, because awareness is protection. You can't navigate something that you don't even know exists, right? All right, let's get into it. So, what even is distortion? Because I feel like it gets thrown around a lot in spiritual spaces, and everybody just kind of nods along like, yeah, totally. Distortion. And then nobody actually explains what the hell that means in a practical way. So I want you to think about it like this. You know when you're driving and you're listening to a radio station and you're like just on the edge of this signal range and it starts to crackle and it cuts in and out. Like the song is still there, okay? The signal is still there. But what's actually reaching you is warped. That's distortion. The original is intact. You're just not receiving it cleanly. And spiritually, it's the same thing. Your higher self is still there. Divine guidance is still flowing. Truth still exists. But there are so many things, internal and externally, that can warp what you're receiving before it even hits your conscious mind or awareness. And sometimes you don't even realize that it's happening. That's the really sneaky part. Now here's something I need you to really hear before we go any further. Distortion is not a sign that you're doing anything wrong or that you're not actually gifted. or that this whole spiritual thing isn't real. It is a natural part of going this deep on this path. Like, literally everybody who goes far enough hits it. The people who aren't talking about it either haven't gotten there yet, or, and I say this with love, they're not being honest with you or themselves. This is important to know as well, because experiencing distortion is not just a beginner thing. I know some of y'all heard me say awakening and went, oh, okay, so once I level up, this won't be a problem for me anymore. No, my love, I'm sorry. That's not how this works. Actually, and I'm literally speaking from experience here, the further along you get, sometimes the sneakier the distortion can get. Because in the beginning, it's kind of obvious, right? Like, you can follow someone online who gives you weird vibes, or you thought you resonated with something, but it just doesn't sit quite right in your body. Those things are relatively easy to clock once you start paying attention. But the deeper you go, it gets more sophisticated. It starts showing up in things that feel almost right. Messages that are like 90% truth and 10% off. Guidance that sounds exactly like your higher self, but then has this subtle undertone of fear or urgency underneath that you almost miss. That is when discernment becomes less of a beginner skill and more of a lifestyle, if you will. Something that you're constantly practicing. A muscle you never stop working. So whether you've been on this path 6 months, 6 years, or 6 decades, this conversation is for you. I want to share with y'all the visual that my higher self gave me when I finally started really understanding distortion and how it was affecting me. She showed me a golden thread connecting me here on Earth to her essence somewhere out there in the cosmos. We're always connected, right? The thread is always there. But what she showed me was that as she was sending down information to me, there were these little blips of dim light, or sometimes even a darkness, that were inserting themselves into my cord. They would ever so slightly change what she was transmitting to me. And those changes had me questioning myself, my connection to source, and my intuition. And that's when it truly hit me how important developing your discernment is. So let's talk about false light, because this is the one that I feel like people really need to understand. False light is basically an energy, a presence, or a being that mimics the frequency of the divine. But they're not. They show up presenting as high vibrational, as love and light, as guides, as ascended masters, as angels even. But they are not what they say they are. And I know how that sounds, okay? I know. So how does false light actually show up in a practice? Because I don't want to just give you the concept. I want you to actually be able to recognize it. So let me give you the patterns that I've seen over and over. The first one, it flatters you, like heavily flatters you. False light loves to tell you that you're special, that you're chosen, that you're more awakened than the people around you, that you have this unique mission that only you can do. And listen, you might genuinely have a mission, okay? I'm not negating that. I'm not disputing that. But there is a difference between being reminded of your purpose with warmth and with love, and being pumped full of ego, specifically to keep you hooked into a source that does not actually have your best interest at heart. Flattery is a hook, so notice when it's being used on you, okay? The second one is urgency and fear. And this one is big. Real divine guidance is calm. It does not and will not rush you. It doesn't threaten you. It doesn't say you need to do this right now or something bad is going to happen. The moment that you feel that pressure, that panic, that sense of, oh my God, I have to act immediately, that's a flag, okay? A big ass red flag. High vibrational guidance respects your free will. It offers, it suggests, but it does not demand from you or manipulate you. The third one, and this one hits a little bit different. It isolates you. If whatever you're following, whether that's a guide, a teacher, a channeled source, a community, whatever, okay? If it is subtly or not so subtly pulling you away from your loved ones, away from your own inner knowing, making you more dependent on it instead of yourself, that's not of the light. I don't care what name it's operating under or how good the messages sound. Genuine spiritual guidance always points you back to your own sovereignty. Always. And the fourth one. This is the one that really got me when I first learned about it. It poses as someone you trust. Because when you start doing deeper work, meditations, channeling, dream work, you're opening up your field. And sometimes something that is not your guide will step into that space, wearing your guide's energy, or your grandmother's face, or an archangel's name. And this is where I need you to really understand something. Names and labels mean nothing without the feeling behind them. Your body knows. Your soul knows. And we're going to talk about how to actually access that in a second. So, discernment. This is your built-in cosmic lie detector. And I need you to understand that you already have it, okay? Discernment is not doubt. And I want to be really clear about that because I think that some people confuse them a lot. Doubt is fear-based. It shuts things down. It makes you second guess everything and it keeps you spinning. Whereas discernment is different. Discernment is curious. It's investigative. It asks questions from a grounded, centered place without the panic attached to it. And here's the thing. Like I said, you were born with this. Every single one of us. We've always had it. It's just that so many of us have spent years and sometimes even decades being trained out of trusting it. Being told that our gut feelings were irrational, that our intuition wasn't logical, that we were being dramatic or paranoid or too sensitive. But that quiet knowing, that physical sensation when something is off, even when you can't explain why, that's your system working. That's information. And it never actually left you. You're just remembering how to work with it again. Now, here are a few practices that I actually use. The body check. Before you decide what something means with your mind, okay, before you analyze it, contextualize it, argue with yourself about it, I want you to drop into your body first. Where do you feel it? Does your chest open or tighten? Does your stomach drop? Does your energy expand or contract? Your nervous system is registering information that your conscious mind hasn't even caught up to yet. Start there every single time. The neutrality test. Does this message require you to feel either extremely elevated or extremely afraid? Because both of those extremes can be manipulation. Real truth tends to land with this quiet, settled yes. Not a high, not a crash, just resonance. You know, that feeling of, yeah, in your chest. That's it. The sovereignty check. Does this guidance make you feel more connected to your own knowing, or does it make you feel more dependent on the source of it? Because real teachers, real guides, real channeled wisdom builds your discernment. It doesn't make itself indispensable to you. If whatever you're working with keeps making you feel like you can't do this without it, run, babe. And the time test. You don't always have to decide right now. Sit with it. If it's true, it's still going to be true in 48 hours, in a week, in a month, and so on and so forth, because real truth does not expire. So let me get really real with you for a second, because I feel like this episode would be very hollow if I didn't. Yes, I have experienced distortion. I have received guidance that I genuinely believed was coming from a high place and later realized that it wasn't. I've connected with energy that presented itself as one thing and then revealed itself to be something else entirely. And in those moments, it can be really fucking disorienting. Like, genuinely. It can shake your confidence in your gifts in a way that's really hard to describe if you haven't actually been through it yourself. But here's what I know now, and I wish someone had told me. Experiencing distortion does not mean that you're not gifted. It doesn't mean that you're not connected. It actually means you're in it. You're like in the deep, deep end of this work. And every single one of those experiences made my discernment sharper in a way that nothing else could have. This path is not perfectly lit the whole way through. You're going to make a wrong turn sometimes. You're going to have to course correct. But that's all a part of this. That's not a failure. That's the actual work. Now, let me give you some practical shit, because I want to make sure that we leave this episode with something you can actually use. So first off, ground yourself. I know, you've heard it before, but there's a reason that it keeps coming up, okay? When you're ungrounded, your field is basically just open. It's like a door left wide open, like a revolving door that anything can step into. You're way more susceptible to picking up distorted energy when you're floating around in your head. Get in your body. Put your feet directly on the earth if you can. Even just 3 slow breaths and actually feeling your physical weight wherever you're sitting. Cleanse your space and your field regularly, however that looks for you. It could be smoke, sound, prayer, visualization, whatever your thing is. And don't save it for when things feel off. Make it maintenance. Think of it like brushing your teeth, but for your energy field. And set your intentions before you open up. Before meditation, before channeling, before any kind of spiritual work, clearly state out loud or in your head who you're calling in and who you are not. You have more authority over your own field than you've probably been told. So use it. Be intentional about what you're consuming. Who are you learning from? What content are you in? What conversations are you having? Your field absorbs more from your environment than you may realize. This is not about living in a bubble. It's just about being intentional. And please trust the weird feeling, even if you can't explain it. Even if everything looks right on paper. If something feels off, it's off. You don't owe your continued energy to anything or anyone, period. All right, besties, we could go so much deeper on literally every single piece of this, and honestly, we probably will. This is just the beginning of a thread that I'm gonna continue to pull on. But I want to leave you with this. The fact that distortion exists is not a reason to close down. It's not a reason to stop trusting or to approach this whole journey with fear. It's actually an invitation to build something that can't be shaken as easily. Real discernment, real groundedness, and a real trust in your own knowing. Because at the end of the day, that's the whole point, right? It's not to find a guide or a source or a teacher that has all of the answers for you, but to get to a place where you trust yourself so deeply that you can walk right through the distortion and still find your way home. You were built for this, I promise. Well, that is a wrap for today's episode of Celestial Vibes. Thank you so much for merging your energy with mine in this sacred space. I now return all energy, wisdom, and insight shared here back to you, fully, completely, and aligned with your highest good. Until next time, keep trusting the magic of your own journey, sending you so much love and so much light. Now go out there, conquer the cosmos, and make our ancestors proud.